The rhythmic beeping of a lab monitor jolted Dr. Eliza Chen from a fitful sleep. She blinked at the digital clock. 3:17 am, standard Europa time. She hadn't meant to doze off at her workstation again, but xenobiology research grants didn't pay for comfortable accommodations on Jupiter's frozen moon. Proximity alert disabled, announced the lab's automated system. External airlock cycle initiated. Eliza sat up straight, suddenly wide awake. Nobody was scheduled to visit Europa Outpost at this hour. The facility housed only 3 researchers, and the other 2 were on Earth for a conference. She reached for the emergency beacon beneath her desk, then hesitated. The Confederation had been looking for reasons to shut down her research into comparative species longevity. A false alarm would give them exactly the excuse they needed. The inner airlock door slid open with a hydraulic hiss. A slender figure stumbled in, its 7-foot frame hunched in obvious pain. The laboratory lights automatically brightened, revealing iridescent blue scales and the distinctive ceremonial markings of a high-ranking Varjan diplomat. Dr. Chen, the Varjan wheezed, clutching a glowing cylindrical vial. Opalescent fluid leaked between its webbed fingers from a wound in its side. They told me you were asking dangerous questions. Eliza rose slowly. In 15 years of studying alien biology, she'd never been this close to a Varjan. The species that effectively ruled the Galactic Confederation rarely bothered with direct contact with humans, especially not with obscure researchers at underfunded outposts. "You're injured," she said, reaching for a medical scanner. "I should call." "No." The Varjan's voice took on the multi-toned quality their species used to express extreme emotion. "They cannot know I am here. I am Krell, 3rd attaché to the diplomatic envoy. I have defected." The word hung in the air between them. Varjans never defected. Their civilization had existed in unbroken harmony for 12,000 years, or so the official histories claimed. "They've been lying to you, to all of us," Krell gasped before his legs gave way. He collapsed onto the laboratory floor, the vial rolling from his grasp. Eliza caught it before it could shatter. The substance inside pulsed with a soft blue glow, synchronized perfectly with a human heartbeat. Her scanner whirred as she passed it over both the vial and the wounded alien. The results made her blood run cold. "This is impossible," she whispered, running the scan again. "These cells contain human DNA sequences, but they're producing regenerative enzymes at rates that are theoretically impossible." Krell's multifaceted eyes fixed on her. "Not impossible. Cultivated, harvested, for millennia." The outpost's communication system crackled to life before she could respond. "Europa Research Outpost. This is Confederation diplomatic vessel Enduring Prosperity. We have detected an unauthorized shuttlecraft in your vicinity. We are initiating emergency docking procedures due to a diplomatic incident." The formal, measured tones couldn't hide the urgency behind the words. Through the lab's small viewport, Eliza could see the sleek, predatory lines of a Varjan ship approaching, at least 50 times larger than her entire research facility. Krell struggled to rise. "They will kill me and take you for questioning. Then you will disappear, like the others who came too close to the truth." "What truth?" Eliza demanded, already moving to help the alien to his feet. "The truth about why humans are so valuable to the Confederation," Krell said, his voice dropping to a raspy whisper, "and why we Varjans live such very, very long lives." Eliza's personal shuttle wasn't meant for extended space travel. The research vessel, little more than a reinforced transport pod with basic life support and minimal shielding, shuddered as she pushed its engines beyond safety parameters. "Proximity alert," the onboard computer warned. "Confederation vessel in pursuit, weapons systems active." In the cramped medical bay behind her, Krell's breathing had grown shallow. The makeshift bandages Eliza had applied to his wound were soaked through with phosphorescent blood. She had 15 minutes, maybe less, before the Varjan would need proper medical attention she couldn't provide. She activated the shuttle's microscanner and inserted a sample from the vial into the analysis chamber. Her training was in xenobiology, not biochemistry, but the preliminary results were unmistakable. "These are human cells," she muttered, "but they've been modified to produce regenerative enzymes at concentrations that should be biologically impossible." She glanced back at Krell. "What have your people been doing to us?" The Varjan's multifaceted eyes flickered open. "Not my people," he said weakly. "The elders. For 22 centuries, they have maintained their rule through the secret." "What secret?" Eliza demanded, splitting her attention between the scanner results and the navigation console's warning indicators. "Varjans are not naturally immortal," Krell said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Our natural lifespan is approximately 200 of your years. But the elders discovered something unique about human physiology, a specific enzyme produced in minute quantities by your pineal gland." The scanner completed its analysis, confirming what Krell was saying. The cells in the vial contained a modified version of a human enzyme, concentrated and stabilized in a way that shouldn't be possible with current technology. When properly extracted and processed, Krell continued, "this enzyme repairs cellular degradation on a scale no other species can match. The elders have been harvesting humans for this enzyme since first contact, disguising their operations as accidents, disappearances, or casualties of minor conflicts." The shuttle rocked violently as something grazed its shield. The Confederation vessel was firing warning shots. "Structural integrity at 83%, the computer announced calmly. "Shield failure imminent." Eliza swore under her breath. "Even if I believed you, we're not going to live long enough for it to matter." "Incoming transmission," the computer interrupted. "That will be the Varjan captain demanding your surrender," Krell said, struggling to sit up. "If you respond, I will." "This is the Artemis," came a gruff human voice over the comm system. "Unidentified research shuttle. You've got Confederation problems. I've got Confederation solutions. Match course to my coordinates, now." A new ship appeared on Eliza's scanner, a battered but heavily modified cargo vessel, running without identification transponders. Its sudden appearance from behind Europa's southern ice sheets suggested stealth technology far beyond civilian grade. "Whoa," Eliza began. "Someone who hates the Varjans more than he fears them," Krell replied, a note of hope entering his voice. "Marcus Reed. His sister was taken during a cultural exchange 20 years ago. He's been running interference for our resistance ever since." As the Artemis moved between their shuttle and the Confederation vessel, deploying a chaff screen that blocked both sensors and weapons lock, Eliza made her decision. She adjusted course to match Reed's coordinates. "Your resistance," she said to Krell as the shuttle limped toward the waiting cargo ship. "How many of you are there?" "Not enough," the Varjan replied grimly. "But perhaps, with proof like this," he gestured weakly at the vial. "There soon will be." Nexus Station hung in the darkness of the asteroid belt, its irregular silhouette deliberately designed to resemble just another mining operation. As the Artemis approached, Eliza saw the station's true scale, a massive habitat with enough space for thousands, concealed by sensor-dampening technology and false registry data. "Welcome to humanity's best-kept secret," Marcus said as he guided his ship toward a camouflaged docking bay. In the 3 days since their narrow escape, he had said little beyond what was necessary for Krell's treatment. The Varjan was stable now, but still weak. Not even the Confederation knows what this place really is. "And what is it, exactly?" Eliza asked, watching as hidden panels slid open to admit their vessel. "A sanctuary, a research hub, a resistance headquarters." Marcus's expression hardened. "And for some of us, the last chance to find our missing people." The docking procedure completed with practiced efficiency. As they disembarked, Eliza was surprised to see a mixed group waiting for them, mostly humans, but also several non-Varjan aliens she recognized as Drell and Meridians, species known for their subservient position within the Confederation hierarchy. A tall, dark-skinned woman stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Imani Okafor. Marcus told me what you found." Her eyes moved to the container where Eliza had secured the vial. Is that it? Eliza nodded. Human cells modified to produce regenerative enzymes at impossible concentrations. Krell says the Varjan elders have been harvesting humans for centuries to maintain their immortality. Not just centuries, Imani replied, gesturing for them to follow. Millennia. She led them through corridors bustling with activity to a vast circular chamber. One entire wall was covered with what looked like stars at first glance, but as they drew closer, Eliza realized each point of light was a human face. Thousands upon thousands of them, stretching across the display. Every documented disappearance potentially linked to Varjan contact. Imani explained. The official ones, anyway. We estimate they represent less than 30% of the actual total. Krell, supported by a Drell medical attendant, stared at the wall in silence. Why haven't you taken this evidence to Earth authorities? Eliza asked. Marcus laughed bitterly. Who do you think authorizes the cultural exchanges and diplomatic immunity that make much of this possible? The Varjans have had human collaborators from the beginning. Imani placed her hand on a scanner, and the display changed to show a complex network of data. Using Krell's access codes, we've calculated the scale of their operation. Each Varjan elder requires material from approximately 7 humans annually to maintain immortality. Eliza felt sick. How many elders are there? 312, Krell answered quietly, which means over 2,000 humans harvested every year. But that's not all. Imani continued. Our resistance has been growing. For decades, we've been intercepting intended donors and establishing hidden colonies beyond Confederation space. A sudden alarm blared through the chamber. One of the Meridians rushed to a monitoring station. Multiple ships emerging from FTL, they reported, their crystalline appendages clicking anxiously. Confederation signatures. Varjan flagship identified. How? Marcus demanded. We covered our tracks. Krell straightened despite his injury. There's only one explanation. Someone here is transmitting our location. All eyes swept the room, trust instantly evaporating as Nexus Station sensors confirmed the approaching threat. We have 20 minutes before they're in weapons range, Imani stated grimly. We need to evacuate or prepare to fight. Neither, Eliza said suddenly, an idea forming. We need to let them catch us. You want them to capture us. Marcus stared at Eliza like she'd lost her mind. That's not a plan. That's suicide. Not if we control what information they get, Eliza explained, her fingers flying across a data terminal. If we run, they'll just keep hunting. But if we let them think they've won. Imani caught on immediately. We can feed them what we want them to know. Exactly. Eliza pulled up the analysis of the regenerative enzyme. Before they arrive, we back up all our research and send encrypted data packets to every human colony in the system. Then we let ourselves be captured with just enough evidence to make them think they've contained the leak. Krell moved closer, his multifaceted eyes studying the molecular structure on the screen. The elders will recognize this as only partial data. They will not stop searching. That's what I'm counting on, Eliza said. While they focus on us, the real information spreads. But there's more. She turned to Imani. I need a medical bay now. And I need to modify this enzyme. 20 minutes later, Eliza emerged from the medical lab, rubbing her forearm where a subdermal transmitter now sat beneath her skin. The tiny device, disguised as an ordinary medical implant, would record and transmit her biological responses if, when, the Varjans attempted to harvest her enzymes. The transmitter's range is limited, Imani warned. Marcus will need to keep the Artemis within 50 kilometers to maintain the signal. I'll be there, Marcus promised, his earlier skepticism replaced with grim determination. But how will this help us? Because I've also injected myself with a modified version of the enzyme, Eliza explained. When they analyze me, it will appear that my body naturally produces higher concentrations than normal humans. I suspect they'll want to study me before harvesting, giving us time. As Confederation ships surrounded the station, the resistance scattered. Most evacuated to predetermined safe locations, while a skeleton crew remained to make the capture look convincing. Imani and 4 others agreed to be taken alongside Eliza, Krell, and Marcus, each carrying hidden transmitters. When Varjan troops breached the station, the resistance offered just enough fight to seem authentic before surrendering. As planned, they were transported to the Varjan flagship, a massive vessel that dwarfed any human craft. In the pristine white holding cell, Eliza finally faced High Elder Vorax, a Varjan so ancient that his scales had faded to pale silver. Though he moved with the grace of youth, something in his eyes spoke of millennia of existence. "Dr. Chen," he said, his voice surprisingly melodious, "your curiosity has caused considerable inconvenience. Your harvesting of humans has caused considerable death," she countered. Vorax didn't deny it. He merely tilted his head, studying her with clinical detachment. "Your species serves its purpose. Be honored by your contribution to superior beings." Eliza felt a cold wave of disgust. "Is that what you tell yourselves? That we're livestock?" "You are a resource," Vorax corrected, "as are all lesser species. The Drell provide intelligence. The Meridians provide labor. Humans provide life. It is the natural order." As he spoke, Eliza's implant was already gathering data. The initial scans the Varjans had performed had revealed something unexpected. Her modified enzyme wasn't just mimicking higher production. Under the right conditions, humans could actually produce the enzyme naturally, in quantities that made harvesting unnecessary. Vorax leaned closer. "You will tell us who else knows about the enzyme." "Everyone," Eliza said with a smile she didn't feel. "And soon, everyone will know something else. You need us far more than we need you." The harvesting chamber gleamed with surgical precision. Eliza, strapped to an examination table, counted silently as white-coated Varjan technicians prepared their equipment. 20 minutes had passed since they'd separated her from the others. The transmitter beneath her skin pulsed steadily, sending data to the Artemis hidden somewhere beyond the flagship's sensor range. "Fascinating," murmured the lead technician, studying a holographic display of Eliza's cellular structure. "Her enzyme production is nearly triple normal human levels. Elder Vorax will want to examine these readings personally." A second technician adjusted a series of crystalline extraction needles suspended above Eliza. "Should we wait for his arrival?" "No. Standard extraction first, then detailed analysis." As the needles began to descend, the lab's lights flickered. Once, twice, then plunged into darkness. Emergency illumination bathed the room in blood-red light. "Power fluctuation in sectors 7 through 13, announced the ship's automated system. "Security breach detected in holding cell area." "Impossible," the lead technician hissed. "Secure the subject while I investigate." The moment he left, Eliza twisted her wrist against the restraint. The lock mechanism had disengaged during the power surge, exactly as planned. She freed herself and grabbed a scalpel from a nearby tray, pressing it against the remaining technician's throat. "Release the others," she demanded. "Now." "I cannot," the technician replied, trembling. "The security protocols." The laboratory door slid open. Eliza tensed, expecting guards, but instead a slender Varjan female entered. Her scales were a deeper blue than Krell's, with distinctive markings Eliza didn't recognize. "I am Selva," she said quickly, "Krell's bondmate. The Resistance sent me." She gestured to the terrified technician. "This one can be useful. The harvesting records are accessible from this terminal." Understanding dawned. This wasn't Marcus's rescue. It was an inside job from the Varjan Resistance. While Selva secured the technician, Eliza accessed the lab's computer system. What she found made her blood run cold. "There are thousands of humans in stasis aboard this ship," she whispered, scrolling through manifest after manifest. "Some have been here for decades. We cannot save them all," Selva said, her voice pained. "Not today." But we can download the stasis protocols and prisoner records. Eliza worked quickly, copying everything she could access while Selva kept watch. When they finished, Selva led her through service corridors toward the ship's diplomatic hangar. The others are already proceeding there, Selva explained. Krell is injured again, but mobile. As they moved deeper into the ship, Eliza glimpsed the true horror through observation windows. Vast chambers filled with transparent pods, each containing a suspended human. Technicians moved between them, systematically extracting the precious enzyme that kept the Varjan elite immortal. "How could your people do this?" Eliza asked, fighting nausea. "Not my people," Selva corrected. "The elders, and there is something they don't know, something Krell and I discovered." She pulled Eliza into an alcove as a security team rushed past. "The enzyme doesn't just extend life," Selva whispered. "It changes us. Over centuries of use, Varjan DNA has been incorporating human sequences. The elders aren't just using humans. They're slowly becoming part human." Eliza thought of the ancient historical records showing early Varjans with more reptilian features compared to their current, almost human appearance. That's why they've been so careful to control all information about human biology, she realized. They're afraid of what happens when we learn the truth. "Yes," Selva confirmed as they reached the diplomatic hangar where Marcus, Krell, and the others were already boarding a sleek Varjan vessel. And they should be. The stolen Varjan diplomatic vessel cut through space at velocities only the Confederation elite could command. In the ship's communication hub, Eliza worked alongside Marcus and Selva, compiling the evidence they'd gathered. Images of harvesting chambers, prisoner manifests, and Eliza's cellular data filled multiple screens. "We need to broadcast this throughout human space," Eliza said, fingers flying over the controls. "Every colony, every station, every settlement." "The Confederation controls all standard communication channels," Marcus warned. "They'll block the transmission before it reaches anyone important." Selva's multifaceted eyes gleamed. "Not through diplomatic priority channels. They're designed to override all security protocols. Even the Elders' own safeguards can't block them without revealing their existence to the other Council species." "And you have access?" Eliza asked. "Krell does," Selva replied. As third attaché, his security credentials remain active until formally revoked. The Elders likely haven't done so yet. That would require explaining his disappearance. In the medical bay, Krell was recovering from wounds sustained during their escape. Despite his weakened state, he provided the necessary authentication codes. "Once we broadcast," he warned, "there will be no refuge for any of us within Confederation space. Then we make sure it's worth it," Eliza said, finalizing the transmission package. Along with evidence of Varjan harvesting, she included her research showing humans could potentially activate their own regenerative abilities naturally. "Ready?" Marcus asked, his hand hovering over the broadcast initiator. Eliza nodded. "For every human who disappeared. For your sister." Marcus pressed the control. Transmission initiated, broadcasting on all diplomatic priority channels. Within hours, the response was beyond anything they could have imagined. Simultaneous uprisings erupted on every human world and station. The Confederation, accustomed to dealing with isolated rebellions, found its resources stretched thin as human workers abandoned posts, sabotaged equipment, and seized Varjan diplomatic compounds. "It's working," Selva whispered, watching reports flood the command screen. "Better than we hoped." "But where do we go now?" Marcus asked. "The Confederation will tear apart the galaxy looking for us." Krell, leaning heavily on Selva, entered the command center. "I know a place, one of the hidden colonies established by our resistance, beyond the Farron Nebula, outside Confederation patrol routes." 3 days later, they arrived at a small green world orbiting a stable yellow star. As they approached, Eliza was surprised to see a thriving settlement, and even more surprised by its inhabitants. Humans and Varjans worked side by side, without hierarchy or distinction. "Welcome to Haven," said an elderly human woman who introduced herself as Governor Chen Lin. "You've caused quite a stir in the galaxy, Dr. Chen. You've been monitoring Confederation channels?" Eliza asked. "And experiencing the results of your discovery," Lin replied, leading them to a research facility at the colony center. "For years we suspected what you've proven. When humans activate their regenerative potential naturally instead of having it harvested, something remarkable happens." She gestured toward a treatment room where a human and Varjan sat with hands joined, a soft glow pulsing between them. "The ability can transfer through a symbiotic bond," Lin explained. "Immortality as a gift freely given, not taken by force. It changes everything." Eliza watched, transfixed. The Varjan elders would never accept this. "No," agreed Krell, "because it would end their power. When all can live forever, control through immortality becomes meaningless." As they spoke throughout human space, the revolution was just beginning. News of the human rebellion spread beyond their worlds, igniting questions among other species long subjugated by Varjan rule. On Haven, Eliza worked tirelessly with the colony scientists to perfect the symbiotic transfer process while monitoring the growing galactic unrest. "The Drell Research Collective has publicly questioned Varjan authority," Marcus announced, entering the lab with the latest intelligence reports. "Their computational networks are now supporting human encryption efforts. The Meridian Engineer Corps has withdrawn from 3 Confederation shipyards," added Silva. "Without their expertise, the Varjan fleet cannot maintain operational readiness." Eliza looked up from her microscanner. "And the Lorens. Most surprising of all," Krell said. "Their empaths are broadcasting emotional impressions of human suffering throughout populated systems. Even species who never questioned Varjan rule are beginning to doubt." A month after their arrival on Haven, Eliza made the breakthrough they've been working toward. She demonstrated that humans who underwent a specific meditative and biochemical preparation could activate their regenerative abilities and share them symbiotically without harm to either party. "The process requires consent and connection," she explained to the colony's leadership council. "It cannot be forced or stolen. That's why the Varjans never discovered it. They were too busy harvesting to understand what they were taking." Governor Lin, who had personally undergone the process with her Varjan partner, nodded. "The question remains, how do we use this knowledge to end the harvesting permanently?" The answer came 3 days later, when long-range sensors detected a Confederation battle group entering the sector. "They'd found us," Marcus said grimly. 17 warships, including the Varjan flagship. "Evacuation protocols?" asked Lin. "Too late," Krell replied. "They'll be within weapons range before we can launch a quarter of our ships." Eliza studied the tactical display, an unexpected calm settling over her. "We don't run. We've been reacting to them for too long. It's time they responded to us." Using the diplomatic vessel they'd stolen, Eliza and a volunteer crew transmitted a message directly to the approaching fleet. While the Confederation forces prepared to make an example of Haven, their sensors detected something unprecedented. A defensive ring of ships from 24 species materializing around the colony. Leading them was the Defiance, commanded by Admiral Helena Dias, the first human military officer to undergo Eliza's procedure. Her image appeared on communication screens throughout both fleets. "Confederation vessels, this is Admiral Dias. You face ships from 24 species who have learned the truth about Varjan immortality and chosen to stand together. We offer you a choice. Recognize all species as equals in a new galactic compact, or face a united opposition with nothing to lose and potentially unlimited time to fight." On Haven's surface, Eliza watched as the Confederation fleet hesitated, their formation faltering. The balance of power had shifted not through superior weapons, but through knowledge and alliance. "They're responding," Marcus said, surprise evident in his voice. "Multiple ships are breaking formation. The Drell cruisers, the Meridian transports. They're repositioning alongside our defensive line." Krell and Silva exchanged glances of cautious hope. The Varjan elders will never surrender their privilege, Krell warned. They don't have to surrender it, Eliza replied, watching as more ships changed allegiance. We're offering it to everyone. 3 years after the standoff at Haven, Eliza stood at the observation deck of the new Interstellar Cooperative headquarters, watching ships from dozens of species dock at the massive space station. What had begun as a desperate flight from Varjan hunters had transformed the known galaxy. Dr. Chen called a familiar voice. Admiral Diaz approached, her uniform bearing the insignia of the Cooperative's combined fleet. The Council is assembling for your address. The Varjan flagship that once hunted them now served as the Cooperative's central meeting place, a fitting symbol of how power had shifted. As they walked through corridors once reserved for Varjan elite, representatives of former Confederation species nodded respectfully. How are the transitional governments progressing? Eliza asked. Better than expected, Diaz replied. The Drell computational networks have designed fair representation systems for each member world. The Varjan elders who refuse to acknowledge other species' rights have isolated themselves on their homeworld, and their immortality treatments. Fading without harvested enzymes, those who joined the resistance have integrated into the new galactic society. Diaz smiled slightly. Your symbiotic treatment centers can barely keep up with demand. In the vast council chamber, delegates from 37 species waited. At the center table sat Marcus, now leading the human delegation, and Krell and Silva, representing progressive Varjan factions. Governor Lin, looking decades younger after 3 years of symbiotic treatment, nodded encouragingly as Eliza took the speaker's position. 3 years ago, Eliza began, we discovered that immortality, or at least greatly extended life, wasn't the exclusive domain of one species, but a possibility for all. Today, I'm here to share our latest findings. She activated the chamber's holographic display, showing cellular structures from various species. Each species contributes unique regenerative properties when sharing willingly, she continued. Humans aren't special because we can be harvested for immortality. We're special because we unlock the potential for all to live together indefinitely. A murmur of appreciation rippled through the chamber. The Symbiotic Medicine Division has documented over 2,000 successful cross-species bonds. Beyond extending life, we're seeing unprecedented medical breakthroughs as shared biology creates resistance to diseases that once devastated entire worlds. As Eliza concluded her presentation, the chamber doors opened. A Varjan human child, the first natural-born hybrid in recorded history, took hesitant steps into the room, guided by her parents. The assembly fell silent, then erupted in applause. Later, watching the child play in the station's arboretum, Eliza reflected on the journey that had brought them here. Marcus joined her, his expression thoughtful. Did you ever imagine this outcome when you found that vial in your lab? He asked. Never, she admitted. I was just trying to survive the night. My sister would have loved to see this, he said quietly. Eliza took his hand. We'll keep searching the old Confederation records. If she's out there, we'll find her. We have time now, Marcus replied with a smile. More than enough. As the station rotated, the distant star illuminated the gathering of species below, former enemies now allies, their differences not erased but celebrated. Eliza realized that immortality's true secret wasn't about living forever, but about finding something worth living for. And perhaps humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy wasn't the enzyme in their cells, but the capacity to imagine a future where all could thrive together. The secret that changed everything wasn't just immortality. It was hope.